Going down the visionary path saved me with only 30 days left of cash. It can be used to launch your business if you're B2B or turn it around. I'm going to take you through what I think is the exceptional path that most B2B businesses, regardless of their size or capital raise, completely miss. And everyone is sleeping on. If you're here and you're joining us on our 3 weeks to Visionary, I'm going to give you an overview of what the exceptional path is, or the visionary path, how you can use that path to create, encourage, build counterparts versus just having champions, and what the result of all that is for your business. If you're already here, something might be going wrong, something might not working, or you might just be curious. So what did we figure out moving from 1 million to 38 million in ARR in 2 years and increasing our deal size from 30,000 to 1.5 million? Well, I'm about to show you. It's really easy, but remember, this is the exceptional path. It is hard, it is intense, and it's uncomfortable. But I would rather the uncomfort of those that are trying to develop belief and do something bold and transform, versus the uncomfortability of those looking for leverage and they're looking to transact. And one is way more valuable to your business. So let's get into it. So the difference between a champion and a counterpart is a really small nuance. Champions and counterparts generally are at the same level, whether it's a VP, SVP, are generally operating some form of capability and need to buy something in order to change the game or resolve a pain point. The difference between the two is that counterparts operate on the orientation of belief and are seeking to transform the business that they work in, the customers that they work for, or the shareholders that they represent. They are bolder, long-term, and strategic thinkers. They're also ambitious. Champions, also ambitious, also bold, but operate on the orientation of leverage. They're not committed to the transformative vision like counterparts are. They're committed to seeing themselves in the vision, and they're looking for promotion. So they orientate towards leverage and a transaction that benefits them. Really, really similar, really, really different. Counterparts are extremely valuable, and champions feel valuable. Now, the entrepreneurial's job is to actually find those that can be counterparts, although they might have started as champions. So you should see this as a way of building counterparts, transforming champions, and not just disregarding everyone that's a champion looking for leverage as someone that doesn't want to change. Although you will just come across counterparts who orientate and operate this way. So the system that I'm about to show you helps you identify counterparts and work with them quickly, or build champions into them so you can end up in 7 and 8 figure deal territory, avoid using VCs, and then use the same motion to track people that can also co-sell, distribute, and sell your product to others, drastically increasing the flywheel of acquisition for your business and lowering CAC. So what's the difference? Well, the reason why it's a visionary path is that you can see you have a choice at every stage, whether you choose the visionary choice of committing to the vision or seeing yourself in the vision and looking for leverage. What's really interesting, as most entrepreneurs get scared, they try to stay alive, they look for leverage. But a nuance of staying alive is sticking with it, going further into the unknown, deeper into the problems that others won't solve, and going after the bigger transformation. Sometimes we always look for proof before we do that, but really, fundamentally, all you need is belief and then a process that builds it. So let's talk about those 8 framework steps that build belief. And in your visionary program, we're just going to be tackling 2 of them. But I wanted to give you the overview of how it all works before you get started, so you know the end result, how to get there, and see the path, although exceptional, it has been walked before and you can walk it too. The first place it starts where we build belief over leverage is, rather than having a product vision that really highlights that we're the best at the pain point, or we're solving the pain point in a different way, or we're the most novel, which is really just seeing yourself in the vision, we have a lofty vision for the market. When we have a lofty vision for the market, we build more belief because other people see it as a door to enter versus a place to admire you from in your tower, being product. It also positions us for a whole bunch of different solutions using your unfair advantage versus just pain points when we come down here and we can get stuck in a transactional process. So if we want to win bigger deals, it starts with the vision that we bring to market for our company. Do we occupy a market vision and we want the market to transform? Or do we occupy a product vision and we want to dominate the market with it? I know which one I'm proving, this one every time. So we start there. The next thing where we do to build belief and attract counterparts is we focus all of our marketing on exposing uncomfortable truths versus the normal marketing focus of ridiculous value. Now, in B2B, most ridiculous value is talked through with testimony. So if you're just starting out, you might only have the uncomfortable truths in the market versus just positioning off value. I love value, but I like creating it more. And I like creating it in a market that's yet to be built, like a new category, or turning around an old one that people think is dusted over. And in that space, if you position all of your marketing campaign around exposing the uncomfortable truths in the market, which we call a social object, and building it in public with other people as a movement, it will create such an enduring asset over time that you'll actually attract people to your category versus just focusing on value and competing with everyone that's already in it. That's number two, how we communicate to the market who we are, what we're doing, and what we want to solve. Truth is a better gathering point when you're early than value, especially if you're creating a new category. It'll bring and drag counterparts in, looking for others who are searching to do something bold, who are going after the truths that no one wants to say. Next thing we do is the start of our sales process. So rather than when we meet people, we talk about what's different, we talk about how unique we are, we just encourage the person that we're dealing with to chase after the market vision. And so this is called getting shared belief versus demonstrating significant value. Now, if you encourage in these meetings versus control the sequence of your sales cycle, so your first meeting is book a demo, that's controlling, by the way. It's like, this is the only way you could talk to me. It's a little weird when you take a step back. Then you're just focused fundamentally on leverage and you're orientating your buyer towards transaction. But if you focus on encouragement, hey, have you heard of this uncomfortable truth? And we have this bolder market vision. Would you like to work on it with us? And do you have any doubts? You fundamentally start to move people from thinking about leverage to thinking about belief. Win. Rather than your first meeting being a demo and that they can book it to see what you do differently so you can control the situation, how about make it uncontrollable and lean into encouraging people to be bolder? Great orientation. After we do our first meeting, rather than moving into discovery of pain points, we can look to teach them something that they don't know in order to transform towards the lofty vision without you. It positions you then as a trusty advisor, and it is really simple and easy to replicate. Rather than trying to focus on all the pain points and get the right one that we have to find out, if we give them an insight that they don't know about the market or their own change, they will tell you all of their pain points because their trust will be higher. So in this case, rather than doing a discovery focused on identifying pain points, we run a shared learning experience that gives our customers insights. Yet again, led to more belief. As your customers acquire more skills that they don't have, they start to think they can take on the transformation versus just focusing on the pain points, doubling down and increasing fear on them not acting. I hate this. It sucks, and it generally only works in mature markets. But if you deliver insights and they start to have shared belief, they'll actually start to help you understand what problem you're solving and help you get better at it, which is what makes them a counterpart. And then finally, rather than treating you as a vendor, where there's no shared work, you send them a proposal and they ghost, you help them co-design and co-develop a business case. And if you're in that particular mode, you're partnering on the financial incentives, you're sharing the mutual risk, and we're building a much bolder deal that is transformational versus transactional. And if we enter that and we do it well, rather than just staying virtual and trying to solve all of this on the phone, they will ask you to gather with them. wherever that is, where maybe it's their conference that they're running, maybe it's at their place of work. They'll actually gather other people, which will increase the budget size for the deal, and they'll ask you to help them get to more shared belief, which because of this model, you already are doing. So rather than meeting virtually and then getting ghosted and ignoring it's not priority, they're strategically gathering people to help you close the deal with their large organization. Whether it's an investor, an enterprise, or a partnership, it doesn't matter. It's the same flow. Once we get to a point when we're ready to actually buy something, rather than being seen as a pilot where we've got to get proof, which gives both parties leverage of either canceling, not doing it seriously, or bailing out, whether you're the big company or the small company, it's still all about leverage and managing risk, but really small risk. We treat the whole buying process now as an investment. Awesome. All of a sudden, we'll have a 3-year deal versus a 1 month to 1 year pilot, and we'll get up to 6, 7, or 8 figures on our first purchase. Absolutely phenomenal. And if we get to this investment stage, rather than your counterpart trying to co-sell it internally or maybe externally to other customers, you've now got your business case, you've now gathered them, they're now considering an investment. Because you focus this whole thing on belief and you're actually operating as a visionary versus someone just looking for leverage for more transactions to make yourself wealthier and only seeing yourself in the vision, they now see themselves in the vision too. So all of that awkwardness that comes around chasing a deal and getting it closed doesn't happen because we're now co-selling it together to the executive sponsor versus you chasing them up, you sitting outside the room and never getting a look at. Fundamentally, our whole experience has changed. We're now doing transformational work that'll get us plus 6 figures on our first deal with a new customer. And we're building a whole process that into our greatest strength when we have very little proof and testimony anyway, because we're probably just starting out, even though we're trying to do something bold. And we've also avoided all the things we hate because we're not leveraging anyone. Generally, when you start a company, it's not just to make a lot of money, it's probably to change something in the world that bothered you. And by not leaning into this model, we've opened ourselves up to a compounding engine that allows you to focus on building beliefs and attracting others versus just the dream outcome for your customer. They're going to give you more time to figure it out. They're going to help you with it, and hence faster path to getting a more valuable product, a more valuable messaging system, and more valuable referrals. So this is our visionary path. It is undoubtedly an uncomfortable one, but it is an exceptional one. Every stage of the sales process, where it's communicating where you are, what you're up to now, when you first meet a customer, when you dive into discovery, when you choose to partner or transact, gather, invest, co-sell, you have to make a choice at every step. And I strongly encourage you to do it because it allows you to go from being lonely to going to this figure and I to we. Remember, whether you're a champion looking for leverage or a counterpart that's based and orientated off belief, both are looking to do something because they're ambitious. Both have their reputation and promotion on the line. Both care either more or less about the business that they're in or the market that they're in, but they do want to win and prevail. This is a much more compounding path to do it, and we want to get started with you to make it happen. And how we're going to do that is by helping you land your lofty market vision, turn it into a gathering point, which we call a social object on LinkedIn to make you credible, and finally give you a system of advertising and promotion that brings you 5 counterparts per week into your DMs. This is the place you start, and then at every step of the journey, we can help you. If at the end of this program, you want to work with us deeper, we have a 16-week program that helps you implement the whole thing so you can end up with a 6, 7, or 8-figure deal at the end. And we also have an Accelerate program that drastically increases this from 5 to 20 leads a week which operates as a steroid up advertising agency to help you find more and more people with belief. But I hope what we've shown you is the exceptional path in every choice that you have to take. We fundamentally hope you take the path of we over I, belief over leverage, and visionary over just someone else with another okay product.